Hello and welcome back to the Shutter Sports Refresh, the weekly show that breaks down all of the most important news in sports for you. I'm your host Finn Noel, and let's get right into it. We'll kick things off with some football action, as in the NFL, the conference championships just went down last night, and the winners of those games are heading to the Super Bowl in a few weeks. Now, the first of two matchups last night was between the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. Now, this game was supposed to be a battle between two sophomore quarterbacks, but the Broncos quarterback, Bo Nix, ended up breaking his ankle in an earlier playoff round and had to miss the game. So in came the Broncos' backup quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, who was starting his first game since 2023. And he had a tough opponent to face in fellow sophomore quarterback and MVP candidate this year, Drake May. Now, the Patriots were heavy favorites coming into this matchup, but for a little bit there, Stidham gave his Broncos fans some hope. But unfortunately, Drake May was just too much as he led the Patriots to a touchdown. And that was really the only exciting part of the game, as the massive snowstorm that is headed through North America right now slammed into this game at full speed. It was a blizzard and fans and players alike could barely see anything. And so no one could get anything going for the rest of the game, and in a super low scoring victory, the Patriots move on to the Super Bowl. Now, luckily for the fans, the second game of the night was much more high scoring. This was between the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Rams have another MVP candidate in Matthew Stafford at their quarterback. Now, he played fantastic in this game, but he had a worthy opponent going up against him in the Seahawks quarterback, Sam Darnold. Now, both players were fantastic in the game, each passing for over 300 yards and scoring 3 touchdowns. But unfortunately, it wasn't the quarterbacks that messed up the game, it was the Rams' punt receivers. Now, in football, at any time an offensive team has the chance to punt the ball as far as they can, basically giving the ball away to their opponent, but super far down to the other side of the field. And most of the time, the opposing team catches the ball and play continues. But somehow, the Seahawks punted the ball to the Rams, who proceeded to drop the catch, fumbling it, and the Seahawks recovered the ball. Now, that meant that the Seahawks were basically 5 yards away from scoring a touchdown off of no work at all. The Seahawks scored, and that ended up being the difference in a heartbreaking game for Rams fans. So the Seattle Seahawks move on to the Super Bowl, facing off against the New England Patriots. Now, this matchup between the Patriots and Seahawks is a rematch of the classic 2015 Super Bowl. It should be super exciting, and it goes down in 2 weeks, so make sure to stay tuned to the refresh. And sticking on the topic of football playoffs, the College Football Championship went down last week as well. This matchup was between the undefeated and number 1 ranked Indiana against Miami. Now, most people predicted Indiana to take this win in a blowout, but things actually started pretty close. Now, although Indiana got out to a strong lead as expected, 10-0, Miami fought their way back into the game. And before you know it, the score was just 27-21 for Indiana with 2 minutes left. Miami had the ball and a chance to make history, beating an undefeated team in the national championship. Their quarterback Carson Beck could taste victory and threw a 50-yard pass that ended up getting intercepted by Indiana, losing Miami the game. What a heartbreaking loss for Miami, getting so close to defeating this powerhouse of a team, but not getting it done. Either way though, congratulations to Indiana and their quarterback Fernando Mendoza, who was named the College Football Player of the Year. Alright, let's move away from football now and into UFC 324, which went down on the weekend. And the headline matchup for this one was for the lightweight championship between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. Now, former lightweight champion Ilia Topuria is still technically the champion, is just on a leave of absence right now to deal with some personal matters, so Gaethje and Pimblett are fighting for the interim title. Now, Pimblett was the favorite coming into this matchup, but it was Gaethje who got the early upper hand. Unfortunately, Pimblett couldn't do enough in the rest of the match to recover from that early deficit, so Gaethje ended up taking the win. Pimblett went out with honor though, citing how important men's mental health is in his post-fight speech. Huge respect to Pimblett, and congratulations to Gaethje on a championship win. And the UFC doesn't stop there. There is another massive fight night coming up this weekend, so come back to the refresh next week and we will let you know what happened. Next up, let's move into some tennis, where the Australian Open, the first Grand Slam of the year, is in its quarterfinals. Now, on the men's side, there haven't been too many upsets other than number 7 ranked Felix Auger-Aliassime having to withdraw from the tournament due to injury. There has been one surprising story though. The 20-year-old American Lerner Tien ended up taking down a higher ranked Daniel Medvedev and has made it to the quarterfinals. The young man is off to a super hot streak, and he will play number 3 ranked Alexander Zverev and hoping to make it to the semis. Now, speaking of young Americans who are playing well, there's another one on the women's side. The 18-year-old Iva Jovic has also made it to the semifinals despite being ranked just number 29. But her quarterfinal matchup will be a tough one, number 1 ranked Aryna Sabalenka. Make sure to come back to the refresh to see if Jovic or Lerner Tien can advance any farther in the Australian Open. And for our last piece of news this week, let's take a look at some Champions League soccer, as they have their final match day coming up this week. Now, last week there were some major upsets, with the Norwegian team Bodø Glimt taking down the top-ranked Man City. Now, as for the playoffs, which are coming up fast, 15 teams have already claimed their spot and there are still 9 more left to grab. Now, the big names that are almost shoo-ins to clinch are Dortmund, Galatasaray, and Karabakh. And there are still some big teams like Ajax, Napoli, and Benfica that are all on the outside looking in, trying to make that knockout phase first round. Now, only 4 teams have been fully eliminated, so there is still a ton to play for. Make sure to stay tuned, as the Champions League playoffs are always a fantastic time in soccer. And that will do it for this week's episode of the Shutter Sports Refresh. I've been your host, Finn Noel, and I hope you learned something today. You can check me and our writer for this episode, Lucky Roberts, out on Instagram, right by my head. And don't forget to check us out on Instagram, where we provide breaking sports news, not just weekly recaps. It'll be super helpful if you're looking to expand your sports knowledge or just get the news a little bit more on time. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.